Hello students. Today the topic of discussion is paranasal sinuses. Paranasal sinuses are air-filled spaces present within some bones of the skull around nasal cavity. The sinuses are frontal, ethmoidal, maxillary, and sphenoidal, and these are named after facial bones in which they are located. Maxillary air sinus is located under the eyes. Frontal air sinus is present above the eyes. Ethmoidal air sinus are many in number and are located on both sides of the nasal cavity, and these are present behind the external nose, means the part of nose which is visible on the face. Behind that lies the ethmoidal air sinus on both sides of the nasal cavity. Then sphenoidal air sinus. Sphenoidal air sinus is present behind the ethmoidal air sinuses in the sphenoid bone. So this is the location of sphenoid bone. It contains a cavity within it known as sphenoidal air sinus. Frontal and maxillary air sinus, these are most anteriorly placed. Ethmoidal air sinuses are present behind the eyes on both sides of nasal cavity, and sphenoidal air sinus is posterior. It is most posteriorly located sinus in the skull. In this picture we can see various air sinuses: frontal, ethmoidal, and maxillary air sinus. All these sinuses are opening into the nasal cavity, one nasal cavity, through its lateral wall. So these are air sinuses of one half of body are shown. In the same manner, in another half, sinuses are present. So sinuses of this right side are opening into the right half of nasal cavity through its lateral wall at different places. Then the size of air sinuses at different periods of life. This is the diagram showing size of air sinuses at different ages like 1 year, 4 year, 7 year, 12 year, and during adult life. So sinuses are almost rudimentary at birth time, and during early periods of life these are also smaller in size. Then the size of sinus, it increased rapidly at the age of 6 to 7 years. That is the age of eruption of permanent tooth. Then at puberty, at the age of 12 to 14 years, the size of sinuses, it also increases rapidly because the increased level of hormones affect the growth of bones at that time. And then during adult life their size also increases. So from puberty to the attainment of adulthood, bones grow properly, these become mature, and at that time sinuses are larger in size. Then in old age these sinuses also enlarge due to absorption of the surrounding bones. So during old age, bones start to reabsorb. Then the size of these sinuses, it increases, and these become even more larger as compared to the size during adult age. So first comes to frontal air sinus. Frontal sinus is situated in the frontal bone. It lies deeper to superciliary arch. Superciliary arch is a curved bony margin of frontal bone present at the level of upper margin of eyebrow. So this sinus lies deep to that superciliary arch. Then it extends upwards and backwards. Backwards it extends along the medial part of roof of orbit. Frontal ear sinuses are two in number, right and left sinus, and both these sinuses are usually of unequal size. One may be larger in size and another is smaller. These are rarely one in number, or both may be absent. Their shape resembles to a cubical structure having height, width and anterior-posterior depth of about 2.5 centimeters. So it is 2.5 centimeter superior-inferiorly, side to side 2.5 centimeters and anterior-posteriorly 2.5 centimeters. These are larger in size in case of males as compared to females. These are rudimentary at birth time, smaller in size during early ages, and these become larger in size at the age of 7 to 8 years and reaches full size only after puberty. Frontal sinus opens into nasal cavity through a duct known as frontonasal duct that is shown by this arrow. So it opens into middle meatus of the nasal cavity. Middle meatus is present below the middle concha. So this is middle concha, this bony projection is middle concha, and this is middle meatus present below it. Blood supply of the sinus. Blood supply to the frontal ear sinus is provided by two arteries, supratrochlear and supraorbital artery, present close to each other. These are the branches of ophthalmic artery, and ophthalmic artery itself is a branch of internal carotid artery. Nerve supply to the sinus. So sinus receive its nerve supply from two nerves, supratrochlear and supraorbital nerves. Both are the branches of ophthalmic division of trigeminal nerve. Venous drainage. Venous blood of the sinus, it is drained by supraorbital vein, which ultimately drains into the superior ophthalmic vein. Superior ophthalmic vein drains into cavernous sinus. Lymphatic drainage. This is the diagram showing lymph vessels of different areas and lymph nodes. So lymph vessel from the area of frontal sinus, these are draining into the submandibular group of lymph nodes. Maxillary ear sinus. Maxillary sinus lies in the body of maxilla bone. It is the largest of all the ear sinuses. It is pyramidal in shape, means triangular in shape, with its widest part, that is base, facing towards lateral wall of nose, and this is apex of this pyramidal structure. Apex is directed laterally and towards the zygomatic process of maxilla. It opens into middle meatus of nose. This is the area of middle meatus. So it is opening into its duct to the middle meatus. The opening lies near the roof of the sinus. So opening lies at a higher level and sinus is present at the lower level. Its opening lies in the middle meatus at the lowermost part of hiatus semilunaris. And here we can also see the opening of frontal air sinus through the frontonasal duct. So this duct opens at anteriormost end of the hiatus semilunaris. This is disarticulated maxilla bone, means only maxilla is separated from rest of the skull. In this maxilla, this is the maxillary air sinus, and maxillary air sinus opens into the middle meatus of nose. So this is large opening which is facing towards the nasal cavity, middle meatus. But in articulated skull, when all the bones these take their positions, when all the bones are united or articulate with one another, at that time this larger opening of the maxillary sinus, it gets very much reduced in size. In articulated skull, maxilla bone is covered by other bones. It come in articulation with another bones, and these bones reduces the opening of maxillary air sinus into the middle meatus of nose. Superiorly, the opening is covered by uncinate process of ethmoid bone, and also descending part of this lacrimal bone also covers some part of the opening. Inferiorly, this inferior nasal concha, it overlaps the opening of the maxillary sinus and reduces its size. Posteriorly, this perpendicular plate of palatine bone, it is also overlapping the opening of maxillary sinus into the middle meatus. So all these are overlapping the opening from superior, inferior, posterior directions and reduces its size. And further, these bones are covered by mucous membrane. So the thickness of mucous membrane is also responsible for further reducing the size of the opening of maxillary sinus into the middle meatus of nose. In this diagram also we can see this is maxillary sinus, and it is the opening of maxillary sinus. It is overlapped by, or it is covered by, uncinate process of the ethmoid bone, inferior nasal concha, and this is the lacrimal bone. And further, the mucous membrane which is covering over these bones, it also reduces further the size of the opening of maxillary sinus into the middle meatus. So opening of maxillary sinus into middle meatus lies at a higher level, and the part of the this sinus, it lies at a lower level. Dimensions of maxillary sinus. Height of the sinus is about 3.5 centimeters. Width is 2.5 centimeters and antero-posterior depth is about 3.5 centimeters. However, the size of this sinus, it is variable. Roof of the sinus, it is formed by floor of the orbit. Its floor is formed by alveolar process of maxilla bone. This floor lies about 1 centimeter below the floor of nose. So this is floor of nasal cavity and this is floor of the maxillary sinus, and the distance between these two is about 1 centimeters. Floor is marked by various elevations that are produced by roots of upper molar and premolar tooth. Roots may even penetrate the bony floor and reaches up to the mucous lining of the sinus. Canine tooth which are having long roots, they may even project into the anterolateral wall of the sinus. Maxillary sinus is the first sinus to develop. Blood supply of maxillary sinus. Maxillary sinus is present in this area within the body of maxilla bone. So this area receives its blood supply from facial artery, branches of facial artery and branches of maxillary artery. Third part of maxillary artery which lies within the pterygopalatine fossa that give two branches, that is infraorbital branch and greater palatine branch. Both these arteries give branches further and supplies the maxillary air sinus. So infraorbital branch, it passes through the roof of maxillary sinus. So this is infraorbital artery passing through the roof of the maxillary sinus. This is maxillary sinus, and it leaves this roof area and comes out on the anterior surface of skull through this infraorbital foramen. This is infraorbital foramen present below the orbit. Through this passes the infraorbital artery and nerve, both these structures leaving the skull through this foramen. So while within this infraorbital canal, this artery gives branches for the supply of this underlying maxillary sinus. Greater palatine artery from the pterygopalatine fossa, it passes towards the palate. So it is the artery which supplies palate and gums, but on the way it is also giving branches for the supply of maxillary sinus. Then facial artery, after emerging from external carotid artery, it passes on the side of the face, reaches the angle of mouth, then reaches the lateral side of the nose. So from lateral side of nose, as it ascends upwards towards the medial angle of the eye, it gives certain branches here and supplies the maxillary sinus which is present in this area. Venous blood from the maxillary sinus, it is drained by facial vein and pterygoid plexus of veins. Lymphatic drainage. Lymph from this area, it is drained by submandibular lymph nodes. Nerve supply of maxillary sinus. Maxillary sinus is supplied by branches of maxillary nerve. Maxillary nerve is the second division of trigeminal nerve. So it leaves the skull through foramen rotundum and then proceed forwards. So when it reaches the area of the maxillary sinus, one branch is given by maxillary nerve, that is the posterior superior alveolar nerve. It supplies posterior aspect of the maxillary sinus, and then it gave one branch known as infraorbital branch, which leaves the skull through the infraorbital foramen. So when the infraorbital nerve reaches in the area of maxillary sinus, it crosses through the roof of the maxillary sinus. It gives branches known as anterior and middle alveolar nerves, which supplies the maxillary sinus. So maxillary sinus is supplied by maxillary nerve itself and the branch of maxillary nerve, that is the infraorbital nerve. Sphenoidal air sinus. Sphenoidal air sinuses are 2 in number, and these are located within the body of the sphenoid bone. In a transverse section of skull, we can see the sphenoidal air sinuses behind the nasal cavity. So there are 2 sphenoidal air sinuses separated by a thin septum. These 2 sinuses are usually unequal in size. Each sphenoidal sinus opens into sphenoethmoidal air sinus recess of corresponding half of nasal cavity. So this is one half of nasal cavity. Here we can see this is the sphenoethmoidal recess, a triangular area in which one sphenoidal air sinus is opening. Each sinus is related superiorly to the optic chiasma. Optic chiasma is formed by optic nerve of both sides which cross in this area superior to the sphenoidal air sinus and forms the optic chiasma. Also, it is related superiorly to the hypophysis cerebri or the pituitary gland. And over the pituitary gland here lies the optic chiasma. So 2 structures come in superior relation to the sphenoidal air sinuses. These are the sphenoidal air sinuses. Above that lies the hypophysis cerebri, and above that lies the optic chiasma. Lateral to sphenoidal air sinus lies the cavernous sinus. On both the sides cavernous sinus is present, and also internal carotid artery which is present just lateral to the sphenoid bone. Blood supply of sphenoidal air sinus. Blood to sphenoidal air sinus is supplied by internal carotid artery which lies very close to this sinus. So it gives branches for the supply of this sinus, and also blood supply to this sinus is provided by posterior ethmoidal artery. Posterior ethmoidal artery is a branch of internal carotid artery. Posterior ethmoidal mainly supplies the nasal septum as well as lateral wall of nose, but also give branches for the supply of sphenoidal air sinus. Venous drainage of sphenoidal air sinus is drained by cavernous sinus which lies very close to this sinus. Some part of venous blood is also drained by pterygoid plexus of veins. So here we can see 2 venous channels, cavernous sinus and pterygoid plexus of veins, which are draining the sphenoidal air sinus located in this area. Lymph from the sinus drains into retropharyngeal group of lymph nodes. Nerve supply of sphenoid air sinus. Sphenoidal air sinus, it received its nerve supply from posterior ethmoidal nerve. Posterior ethmoidal nerve is a branch of nasociliary nerve, and nasociliary nerve is a branch of ophthalmic division of trigeminal nerve. Orbital branches of pterygopalatine ganglion. Orbital branch of this ganglion, it gave further branches for the supply of sphenoidal air sinus present in this area. So these are the orbital branches given by pterygopalatine ganglion, and it supplies the sphenoidal air sinus. Ethmoidal air sinuses. Ethmoidal sinuses are small, numerous intercommunicating spaces present within the ethmoid bone on both the sides of the nasal cavity. So here we can see these are the nasal cavities both nasal cavities separated by this septum, and on both sides of the nasal cavity we can see these ethmoidal air sinuses, which are many in number. Ethmoid bone is seen in this manner when it is disarticulated. So ethmoid bone is having three parts. First part is cribriform plate of the ethmoid bone, which is present towards the superior aspect of this bone. Then second part is perpendicular plate, which present perpendicularly and vertically placed in the median plane. And then lateral mass of the ethmoid bone, that is also known as labyrinth of the ethmoid bone. So labyrinth of ethmoid bone, it contains large number of small air filled cavities that are known as the ethmoidal air sinuses. So this is ethmoid bone, lateral mass of ethmoid bone that contains ethmoidal air sinuses. So ethmoidal air sinuses are covered superiorly by or completed superiorly by the orbital plate of frontal bone anteriorly. So this is anterior aspect. Here we can find out this is frontal bone. Frontal bone extends backwards slightly to form the roof of the orbit. So the orbital, that is known as orbital plate part of the frontal bone. So anteriorly this ethmoidal air sinuses are covered by orbital plate of frontal bone. Behind, these are covered by sphenoidal concha or part of the sphenoid bone. Then orbital process of palatine bone also covers the ethmoidal air sinuses posteriorly. This is orbital process of palatine bone. And anteriorly also lacrimal bone covers the ethmoidal air sinuses. Ethmoidal sinuses are divided into three groups: anterior ethmoidal sinus, middle ethmoidal sinus, and posterior ethmoidal sinus. In this diagram also we can find out anterior, middle, and posterior group of ethmoidal air sinuses. Anterior ethmoidal air sinus is composed of 1 to 11 number of air cells. So these are air cells which are visible here. So this anterior sinus, it contains 1 to 11 number of air cells. These may be variable in different persons. In the same manner, middle sinus contain 1 to 7 air cells, and posterior sinus also contain 1 to 7 number of air cells. Anterior ethmoidal sinus opens into anterior part of hiatus semilunaris in middle meters. Then middle sinus opens into upper part of ethmoidal bulla in the middle meters, and posterior ethmoidal air sinus opens into superior meters of the nose. Ethmoidal air sinuses are present in close relation to upper part of lateral wall of nose. So this is the diagram showing lateral wall of nose. Anterior ethmoidal and posterior ethmoidal arteries supply in this area, and in the same manner anterior ethmoidal nerve and branches of the pterygopalatine ganglion, these supplies in this area. So anterior ethmoidal and middle ethmoidal air sinuses, these are supplied by anterior ethmoidal vessels and nerve, and posterior ethmoidal air sinuses are supplied by posterior ethmoidal vessels and nerve. And in addition to it, posterior ethmoidal and middle ethmoidal both receive their nerve supply from the orbital branches of pterygopalatine ganglion also. Lymphatic drainage. Lymph vessels from the anterior and middle ethmoidal sinuses, these drain into submandibular group of lymph nodes, and lymphatics from posterior ethmoidal sinuses drain into retropharyngeal group of the lymph nodes, because this part lies more towards the posterior aspect of lateral wall of nose. So these this area lies in close relation to the pharynx, so its lymphatics drain into retropharyngeal group of lymph nodes. Applied anatomy related to sinuses. First is sinusitis. Inflammation of sinus is known as sinusitis, in which the mucous membrane of the sinus it get inflamed, it becomes reddish, and there is persistent discharge from the nose in case of sinusitis. It also causes headache, persistent and thick purulent discharge from the nose. That are the symptoms of sinusitis. Diagnosis of sinusitis is done on X-ray. So during X-ray examination under normal circumstances, these air sinuses, these appear grayish in color because these are filled by air. But in sinusitis, there is collection of fluid or mucus within the sinus, which give grayish white appearance of the sinus. So that indicates that sinus is infected and it is having collection of fluid or mucus within it. Maxillary sinus is most commonly get infected either from the nasal cavity or from the carious tooth, because tooth are present in close relation to the maxillary sinus in its floor. So infection of the teeth, it may spread to the maxillary sinus. Drainage of maxillary sinus, it is difficult because its ostium or its opening towards the nasal cavity, it lies at a higher level than the level of the sinus itself. Cancer of maxillary sinus is common condition. In this condition, the cancer may arise from the mucous membrane of the maxillary sinus. Symptoms depends upon the direction of growth of the cancer. So if the growth of cancer is towards the upper aspect, it causes invasion of the orbit and causes proptosis. Proptosis means bulging of the eyes, and diplopia. Diplopia means double vision. Person sees two images of an object or two objects when a single object is present. And if infraorbital nerve which crosses through this area, if it is involved, it causes facial pain and anesthesia on the skin over maxilla bone. If cancer spreads towards the floor, it causes ulceration of the palate and bulging of the palate. If growth is towards forward side, means anterior side towards the alveolar arches, it produces severe pain and also produces swelling of the face. Backward growth towards the buccal cavity, it produces severe pain in the upper teeth. Growth on the medial direction, this is towards the nasal cavity, it causes nasal obstruction, and epistaxis means bleeding from the nose, and epiphora means excessive discharge of water from eyes. Lateral spread of cancer produces swelling of the face and swelling between the lips and gums. That is, in the vestibule of the mouth, a palpable mass is felt. Infection of frontal air sinus and ethmoidal air sinus produces edema of eyelids. Pain due to inflammation of ethmoidal air sinus may get referred to forehead, or forehead also aches during pain in the ethmoidal ear sinus, because both areas are supplied by ophthalmic division of trigeminal nerve. And pain of maxillary sinusitis may refer to upper teeth. So upper teeth may also get painful in inflammation of the maxillary sinus, and infraorbital skin is also painful because these areas are also supplied by maxillary nerve, which supplies the maxillary ear sinus.